What's good, people? Boy, it's never a dull moment with these daggum Cowboys, ain't it? We're gonna talk about it, man. Give me a few minutes, man. I'll tell you what I think about it. I mean, you know, could be good. It's got some negative and positive implications. We're gonna talk all about it. Man, I thought I was gonna get back to y'all till like right before the season started, but Cowboys make it where you can't stay away. You gotta move stuff around so you can get to you and talk to y'all about the latest developments. But we're going to talk about it. Trade made today with the Cowboys. And we're going to talk all about it here in just a minute. What's good, people? It's your boy Uncle Fred back in the house, back in the saddle one more again. Please hit that like, comment, and subscribe and become a part of the Uncle Fred Sports Experience. I guarantee you will not be disappointed. Let me clean this camera off. This one make sure. All right. All right. So, yeah, I hadn't got back with y'all after the game. I was going to preview. I had some other stuff going on, work and some other stuff with my church, so I couldn't really get with y'all. I want to kind of come with you before the Seattle game and give my preview of that and the stuff with Jalen Tolbert and that sort of stuff, and Brooks and all that sort of stuff, and what I thought. Then, of course, the game came, and it was underwhelming. Thought the offensive line got pushed around. Deuce Vaughn was still good. T.J. Bass and Austin Richards were kind of good, but other than that, the offensive line was terrible. Will Greer threw a pick in the red zone. DeRon Bland got beat on an easy sluggo, route. I think it was Jackson Smith and Jigman gave up a big plays. Cornerbacks in general gave up big plays. Eric Scott Jr. wasn't as good as he was in training camp in the game. He got burnt a couple of times, and we just gave up a bunch of big plays in that game. So I thought I might come talk to y'all about that, but I didn't. And maybe I was going to talk to y'all about Sam Williams getting picked up doing 66 in Frisco, Texas, and driving 66 miles an hour, having a vape pen and several firearms in the car, and kind of how that relates to Dorrance Armstrong not playing in any of the preseason games, which led me to think they're probably thinking about trading him. And then Jerry coming back on a couple of days later saying, man, well, we drafted him. We knew there were some things going on, but he's making progress. Well, what was he driving the first time? Because remember, he had that wreck last year. First day he bought the car and wrecked it, doing like 98 miles an hour and totaled the car. And got picked up, and got jailed, and they came and picked him back. They released him and whatnot. He had to get his information and stuff. But anyway, so what did Jerry say? Well, I mean, he said, you're making progress. He's making steps. Yeah, wasn't he driving 98 last time? He was driving 66 this time. Like 33 miles an hour difference. 32 miles an hour difference. Yeah. Jerry, this isn't funny, But no, that wasn't going to be what I talked about. Or I could have been come down and talk about Brandon Cooks flying I'm not sure if it was a helicopter or an airplane with Micah and I think CD and some other players in the thing with him. Ain't no Brandon Cooks had a pilot's license, whatever. But apparently he does. But no. Or I could have been talking to y'all about, the fact that the media's been saying Jonathan Taylor, Cowboys going to make a move for Jonathan Taylor, which I thought might not be a bad idea, but none of the talking heads thought it was a good point to make. Man, we don't need no $2, $5, $8, $9, $10 million running backs. So, but then today about 6:50, about 6:30 p.m. my time, I get a notification. I look up my phone, I get a notification from ESPN. 49ers trade first round pick Trey Lance to COW. And that's all it said on that line. You had to click on it to open the thing up completely. And I already knew what was up. And I'm like, no other team got COW in their name other than the Cowboys. So I opened it up and I'm like, man, the Cowboys and acquired Trey Lance from the 49ers for a 4th round pick. So let's talk about that. So my first thing was that's about the dumbest thing I've seen the Cowboys do. They don't need another quarterback. We are ready to win right now, right? Our offensive line is good for my starters. If you're talking about Tyron, Tyler, Zach, and Terrence, let's roll. But then behind them, you got Brock Hoffman, you got Matt Waletzko, Matt Forniak, which, Forniak, he kind of okay. Matt Waletzko hurt his shoulder, the other shoulder. And Josh Ball is just not good. He gets pushed back in the quarterback's lap. And then when he's not doing that, he's getting knocked down and gets in the way of the other offensive lineman where they can't finish out their block because he's laying in a heap in the floor on the ground, right? So we need backup offensive linemen. But I like TJ Bass. They got the undrafted free agent they got from Oregon, and also like Asim Richards, the 5th rounder they got from North Carolina, if I'm not mistaken. They both have showed some good promise. In the limited times they played a good bit Saturday. So both of them did, and they played a lot in their training camp in their last week of training camp this week. With the first team, Asim and TJ Bass both played with the first team, while the starters, Zach and Tyron, and they were getting their runs in and stuff like that. They, running and getting their calisthenics up, whatever. So we need some backup help at the offensive line. So as the cutoff day comes, which is 3 days from now. After the 29th is when all the teams got to be down to 53 and 15 training camp on a practice squad, and 53 on their rosters, right? So we think maybe they were going to make a move and say, yeah, we can make a move, and say we're not. And so what the thought was is they were going to move Dorrance Armstrong. But now the thing with Sam Williams makes it say, we can't move Dorrance Armstrong because we don't know what Sam's going to do now, right? So how this makes sense is that the idea was they might, because what we have an abundance of, we got an abundance of pass rushers, right? We got Micah, we got D-Law, we got Dante Fowler, we got Dorrance Armstrong, we got Sam Williams. That's 5 pass rushers. And we got this kid, Isaiah Land, that we got from FAMU. Has got some promise. So we got an abundance of pass rushers. So there's a reason why Dorrance Armstrong ain't been playing none of this preseason, right? So that's what that was. And the idea was we would trade him to a team that maybe was needing some, pass rushing help, and trade for, maybe an offensive lineman. They got one more than they need, because we need offensive linemen, quality offensive linemen, right? And also the fallout from the game against Seattle, we had make it 3 ACLs, which is kind of bad. I'm ready for the season to get started. But the first one, the most obvious one, was Demarion Overshown, the promising rookie linebacker slash safety, that slash whatever Dan Quinn wants him to do. Suffered an ACL making a routine tackle coming off the sideline, and he just didn't get up, and he knew it was difficult. And John Stevens, the promising tight end who caught a couple of touchdown passes in a couple of games. I know at least he caught one. I know he's caught at least one. I've seen it. I know he caught one against Jacksonville. I'm pretty sure he did. He got an ACL. And then Durden, another wide receiver we had, he made some catches. I don't think he was going to make the squad, but he got an ACL too. But anyway, so we got some need in the linebacker core. Man, it might have been nice for you to go make a move for Isaiah Simmons instead of letting the Giants get him. They got him for a 7th-round pick. This is a 1st-round pick who was a linebacker slash safety, kind of what Demarion Overshown was doing. And you could have had him for a 7th-round pick, a guy that gives you immediate dividends, right? So linebacker, safety slash linebacker, and or offensive line. That's kind of where we need help. And so what I'm saying is that the Cowboys right now are a team that's ready to win now. They've got a good offense. They got a good quarterback. They got a good offensive line, but they don't have depth. Good running back room, Deuce Vaughn, Tony Pollard, either Rico Dowdle. I think it's going to be the 3rd guy, the 2A guy. And I think Malik Davis is bound for the practice squad. That's just your boy Uncle Fred's position in here. That's just his position. So those were the things. You shore up those things, I'm thinking, man, we ready to roll, right? And then we make a move for a quarterback, a guy we don't need. So I start thinking of that. I'm upset because I'm thinking, it's just, to me, you don't give up draft capital for pieces that you don't need, right? So I started thinking about that. Me and a coworker was talking about that. We thought it was the dumbest thing because it doesn't. So I started thinking about that. And so I started breaking it down. And as I started to think about it, and as I started to listen to a couple of the other content creators, because everybody was having emergency sessions. Vox Lombardi had Will Steele on. And there was a couple other guys on. The girl from Bees Love Sports. I think her name is Vanessa. She was on from there. And I don't think Brian Broaddus was on there. Brian Braun is another guy that's in those loops. He had some Foots the King, another Cowboy creator. And some of them really like the deal a lot, right? I don't like the deal a lot. I think it's got positive and negative parts. Let me go into the positives and negatives, right? So the negatives. All right, the negatives on the trade. Number one, the timing of it. I thought the timing of it was not great because here it is, we're making this trade right before the end of preseason, right before the cut date, right, which is August 29th, right? I didn't like that because now it makes for an awkward situation because what it's letting you know is probably Will Grier is going to be cut. I mean, you're not going into the camp with 4 quarterbacks, right? All right. Only way they keep Will Grier is that they keep him and throw Trey Lance on the practice squad. Well, obviously he's gonna have to be practice squad because he's not ready to play. He had that foot injury last year. I think he had a knee injury in his rookie year after a couple of games. And he had a foot injury in his first game against the Bears and that typhoon that they were playing in, and severely hurt his ankle, missed the rest of the season. And he played a little spotty duty this year with the 49ers. I think against the Raiders, I think they got smoked in that game too. I think he played few plays in that game, but he hadn't played a lot. So he'll probably have to go to the practice squad because obviously he don't know the playbook and he hadn't played a whole lot. So he'd probably go to the practice squad, right? But you really don't see how you would keep 4 quarterbacks, right? So you feel like they would probably cut Will Greer. But then who's going to play Saturday? You gonna play Will Greer Saturday, knowing you're gonna cut him in 3 days? I don't know, man. That's kind of cold blooded, even for the Cowboys. But I don't know, man. We'll see how they go. But the timing of it was just curious, I thought, and the timing on another front was because I thought that the team was really starting to bond and gel together, man. And I just didn't think this was the right timing for that, right? Secondly, I thought that the negative is it's got negative implications because the first thing all of the Cowboy haters, the Dak haters are going, well, Dak's on notice. He's on the clock. They're getting Trey Lance, letting you know he on the clock. And to me, that's something Dak didn't need because I'm just going to tell you, I'm just going to say it just like this. Dak caught hell last year, this offseason, with all of the naysayers, people saying he's not, he's just not a good quarterback. And you got people like Skip Bayless saying stuff like, he's mentally weak and he's not capable of being a quarterback for an NFL team, something to that effect. That's just hurtful and harmful type things. I just didn't think Dak needed that. He was really starting this training camp. I think he came through with a good purpose and with a determination. And I thought he had a good camp. And I was like, man, this is going to be a good camp for him to come out and do what he needs to do, right? And then he hears this. And of course, now what's going to happen now? All the sports shows on Monday, Get Up, First Take, Speak, Craig Carton, all of the shows, right? Yeah, they know like we know. Dak's not that guy. He just isn't that guy. They went and got them a guy to let them know that he's not that guy. And I just think that it's more negative stuff that you don't need, because you want to keep the locker room positive and the thing positive. You don't want to hurt, the guy's confidence, and not that, he's some sort of fragile somebody or something like that. I'm just saying, I just didn't think that guy needed it. I think he overcame a lot this offseason with a lot of the hate speech, even from their own fan bases, the Cowboys fan base. It's really, really kind of bad to me, and of course those same people are going to be up in the ante now, and then the conversation in the locker room now. You got Dak, and I thought it was a good thing when Dak, when the fight broke out and Dak and Michael, had to be contained, and Dak grabbed him by the collar, and they kind of like, come on, man, let's just get this under control. And you see how everybody kind of rallied around Dak. And then the front office goes and does this. It's almost like this, a slap in the face to him. So maybe the team will rally around that, but it's just a conversation well articulated is not as well. Let me say it to you this way. I got it backwards. Let me say it like this. A situation or a narrative not brought up is better than one well articulated. In other words, a question not asked is better than a question well answered. One of my former bosses gave me that little tidbit, and I've lived by that. So you want to create a situation where nobody even asks or questions your ability or whatnot, rather than you be able to answer the question well. You rather the question not be asked. So all this off season, all during to the season start, and all the games they're going to be said in the backdrop, all the dry moments in the games that the Cowboys have been covered by. Yeah, well, they made the move for Trey Lance. And so that's just talking points that need not to have been had, right? So really, and to me, that's a Jerry thing, because Jerry wants the Cowboys talked about, even if it means that it causes psychological problems or images and things in the locker room that you shouldn't have to deal with. But now you got to deal with them. Like when Jack got hurt, well, man, wouldn't it be nice if we had a quarterback controversy? When any other coach or somebody you ask something like that, they'd be like, man, you don't even broach nothing like that. You don't even approach or walk near anything like that. That don't even get talked about, because it has ripple effects in the locker room, because once you start talking about that, the players in the locker room start picking sides, and then you got a divided locker room. But he don't care because it's getting talked about on all the sports shows. And no, all publicity is good publicity in his mind, right? So the Cowboys gonna get talked about, right? But this makes another thing that Dak's got to overcome. Even, the naysayers, because that's gonna get asked about him in the next press conference that he talks about, right? So the negative comment, and then we giving up draft capital. I know it's on there for a position that we don't need. We already got a quarterback. You thought it was dumb to give up a second or a third round draft pick to the Colts, maybe a third and a fourth for Jonathan Taylor, because you already got a running back at $10 million. We already got a quarterback at 40. Why would you get another quarterback? Okay. Now, if you tell me this gives you leverage, and when we're talking about the Dak extension talks, okay, I'll hear that argument. All right, I'll hear that. So those are my problems with it, because I feel like you could have got Jonathan Taylor, you could have got Darwin Cook, you could have got any of those guys, okay, to make the team like unbeatable, or you could have went and got $10 million and went and got Dalton Risner, you could have did that, but nope, you wouldn't got use draft capital to get a player that not on a conceivably not even going to see the field this year. We're trying to win right now, and this guy might not even take a snap this year, okay? That's one way of looking at it, okay? Then I got to thinking about that thing, and I started to see some of the positives, all right? I started to see some of the positives. So some of the positives. First of all, I started looking at Trey's age. The kid's 23. He's a baby. He's 23. He's going to be playing another 15 years if he can avoid injury and things like that, right? Right, 23. Can't teach age, okay? Dak's just turned 30. Probably got 5, 6, 7 years left, maybe. Maybe not even with us on all of them. But 23. And he got measurables. What do I mean by measurables? I mean, like, size, weight, arm strength, and all that kind of stuff. This kid's 6'4", 6'5", 230 pounds. Okay. Has arms 31.5 inches and got 9.5-inch hands. Okay. Out of North Dakota State, played out of Marshall, Minnesota, played one full season in North Dakota State, sets all kind of records. Then they had the CV-19 year. He missed that year, and he got drafted, right, by the 49ers. Gave up, I think, 3 first-round picks to move up so they can draft him. Dolphins, got a lot of that stuff, right? So they got the Dolphins pick. Dolphins got Jalen Waddle with that pick. Okay. So his size and his measurables, okay, or you can't teach that, okay. And you got to look at his measurables too and his athleticism. I think he runs like a 4.5 40 or something like that. He's big, strong kid with a strong arm, right, and mobile, very mobile, right. Then somebody called in on the Vosh show, and Vosh kind of liked it. And he said, "Hey, he's gonna give us intel on the 49ers game plans." And I was like, "Yeah, that sounds good." Then I started thinking, I said, wait a minute now. He wasn't good enough to actually get to play much. Got beat out by Garoppolo, got beat out by Brock Purdy, and because he got hurt. And of course now, and then they picked up Sam Darnold, and he wasn't able to beat out any of those dudes. So he really didn't get to play a whole lot. So if he didn't play a whole lot, and able to gather and graft the offense that Kyle Shanahan is running, how's he going to be able to tell it to us other than overall general concepts? I don't know. I mean, he may be able to shed a little light on that. Okay. The knowledge of the 49ers offense. And but one of his gifts that he's going to have is his ability to mimic the offense that the Eagles run in practice. See, it's one thing if you got Cooper Rush or one of the other guys running that offense and they're trying to practice against it so they can get stops against it. It's another thing when you got a guy that's bigger and stronger than Jalen Hurts that runs that same offense then you could kind of like get some keys and clues on how to, better defend that. Okay. So that's another thing, another iron sharpening iron effect, right? The relatively cheap price, only give up a 4th-round pick. Now, once you couple that with the fact that we gave up a 5th for Gilmore, a 6th for Gilmore, and a 5th for Cooks, that means the next year's draft we don't have a 4th, a 5th, or a 6th. Now, what we can do to kind of justify that or kind of counterbalance that is that some of these players on our team, when they leave us to go find a sweeter deal somewhere else, we'll get a 3rd round, maybe 4th round compensatory pick. Because that's what you do when you lose a player to free agency. That the league has a rule they give you compensatory picks, right? So those were compensatory picks that we used that for those 2 players that we got, right? So those are compensatory picks. So it's what it is. So and then here's the other thing. If and when, because I said, the negative was he won't even see the field this year because he don't know the offense, right? Raw. But let's say he does learn the offense, at least enough to get some packages for him. Because one thing about Mike McCarthy, and we get ready to close the video. One thing about Mike McCarthy, and I don't know if he was trying to disparage Kellen Moore in what he was saying when he said this, but he was saying that any play caller worth his salt go have a package for all of his players with special skill sets. Meaning, how you not have a package for Kevontae Turpin? Dude's like 5'7", 5'8", like 165 pounds, and runs like a 4.3, 5.40, cat quick. How do you not have a package for him? Okay. How you not have a package of plays for Tony Pollard? Tony Pollard caught like 32 passes last year. And the guy, that dude could easily be a 60, 70 catch guy. Why do you not have packages for him? Other than, sweeps and different things like that. It's a package of plays you have for your special skill set players, right? So I would imagine he'll have a package for Turpin, a package for Deuce Vaughn. You're going to have a package for him, right? A package for Schoonmaker because he's a big physical tight end. You can run some misdirection with him and have some stuff with him out in the flat and, running with a head of steam and that sort of thing. With guys with even the guy, he might not even make the team, but a Hunter Lemke, he's like that fullback type guy. You got some packages for him. So maybe by like October or something, maybe, they can get him off the practice squad and they can bring him in the game for some packages, Man, wouldn't that be something if we get in the red zone and bring him in on the red zone? Now, I don't like the idea of taking the ball out of your quarterback's hands. But let's understand this. You get down inside the 20, 15-yard line, you bring this guy in. Now, all of a sudden, that defense has to be able to defend the read option, the sprint option, the rollout pass, the sprint out pass, the play action fake, the quarterback draw, the quarterback sweep, quarterback power, and just a trace basic drop back pass. You gotta play all of those scenarios with this guy. And you can't cover every last one of them. Okay. So what the positive of that on the end is think of the packages you could run for him, put in for him. And ultimately, you can score, get stuff in there, and he gains confidence in our offense. And maybe he might be the quarterback of the future. You may keep that only 2, 3, 4 more years as he enters 33, 34 years old. And this guy's still in his 20s, right? And you could have him once he learns that offense and he's still 6'4", 6'5", 230. And you could run stuff with him and stuff. So I don't like it from the initial, but I'm starting to see the positives on the deal. All right. So I still say it's a publicity thing. It's a way for the Cowboys to be talked about. But my thing is this, and I'll say this in closing. In my mind, in my way of looking at the thing, you shouldn't have to do special things to get talked about. When is winning not enough? If you win the thing, you win games, and you holding up that Lombardi, they'll talk about you. You don't have to invent ways to get talked about, just to get talked about. And then you come up short. Why don't you put all your energies, all your efforts, all your resources towards winning and let the talking speak for itself? Well, that's all I got for y'all today. News of the day: Cowboys acquire Trey Lance from the San Francisco 49ers for a 4th-round pick. Jury's still out as to what will become of that. It's going to be interesting. And if nothing else, the Cowboys are what? They're always interesting. Never a dull moment, as I always say. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Become a part of the Uncle Fred Sports Experience. Guarantee you will not be disappointed. I'm going to check back with you guys after the Seattle game. We're going to see what the prognosticators and the announcers say about this blockbuster move during the game footage on tomorrow night. But that's all I got. We'll catch you guys later. God bless. We'll catch y'all on the next video.